$570 billion. That is the annual cost the United States economy pays for a single organizational design flaw. Promoting the wrong people into management. Most of those people did everything right. They performed brilliantly. They were rewarded with advancement. The system failed them, and they never saw it coming. On the left side of this layout, the conventional career mental model everyone accepts. A staircase where every step upward represents progress, competence, and success. On the right side, what the research actually shows. A competence curve that peaks at the individual contributor level, then bends downward with each management promotion. Look at the massive gap between what we assume advancement means and what the data demonstrates it actually produces. Compare these two models side by side. Individual contributor cognitive architecture versus management cognitive architecture. Inside this specific box, 6 fundamental dimensions that completely flip between the two roles. Processing mode, deep single focus versus wide multi-threaded attention. Time horizon, days and weeks versus quarters and years. Success metric, personal output versus others' output through you. Conflict relationship, avoid and solve versus engage and resolve. Attention pattern, hyperfocus flow states versus constant interruption management. Reward circuit, immediate task completion dopamine versus indirect impact satisfaction. Notice this bounded section right here showing the neurological reality. These are not the same sport played at different intensity levels. These are different sports requiring different nervous systems. The staircase assumes every step requires the same cognitive foot. The data shows you need a completely different brain. 53,035 workers. 214 companies. 6 years of longitudinal data. The largest empirical study of promotion outcomes ever conducted, published in the Quarterly Journal of Economics. Follow this curve showing the relationship between individual performance and promotion probability. A 1 standard deviation increase in individual sales performance equals 14.3% higher probability of getting promoted to manager. Now compare these two models side by side. Left panel, those same top individual performers' previous sales output. Right panel, their team's sales performance once they became managers. The numbers peaked right at this high point on the left showing their individual excellence. On the right, this trend line drops straight down. 7.5% worse team performance than managers promoted from lower individual performance ranks. Read these exact words carefully. The correlation between individual performance and managerial effectiveness is not zero. It is not slightly positive. It is negative. R equals negative 0.23. The promotion selection mechanism actively identifies the wrong people for management by design, not by accident. Inside this clean panel, the mathematical mechanism that guarantees post-promotion performance decline for a significant proportion of promoted employees. Regression to the mean. Every exceptional performance period combines genuine skill with positive random variance. Promotion selection occurs precisely at these statistical peaks when luck and skill align optimally. Follow this curve upward as performance climbs to its maximum observed point. The promotion gets offered exactly here, at the intersection of true capability plus favorable circumstances. Now watch what happens on this timeline as we track forward. This trend line moves back toward the center, not because you became worse, but because the statistical distribution always corrects. Exceptional periods are temporary by mathematical definition. Moving down to the second layer, the new role difficulty component adds a separate negative force. Regression to the mean removes the positive variance premium. New management responsibilities add cognitive domain mismatch. Look at the massive gap between where the organization expected you to perform and where the combined mathematics guaranteed you would land. Dividing this frame into 2 complete financial analyses. On the left side, what your HR department shows you when offering a management promotion. Current salary $95,000. Promotion offer $115,000. $20,000 apparent gain. Looks straightforward. Now we zoom into this isolated container and add every variable the standard analysis systematically omits. Phase 1 begins now. Apply the failure rate discount. Harvard Business Review research confirms 60% of new managers fail within 18 months. McKinsey research shows 50% of leadership transitions are rated as disappointments by the executives who made the promotion decision. Expected salary at 18 months, 40% times $115,000 plus 60% times 0 equals $46,000 expected value. Moving to the second layer, the health cost actuarial adjustment. Whitehall 2 study tracked 30 years of longitudinal health data across British civil servants. Management roles with high demands and low control showed 67% higher incidence of coronary heart disease. The actuarial cost of stress-related health outcomes, $8,000 to $14,000 per year in additional lifetime health expenditure. Moving to the third layer, the opportunity cost of excellence premium. Top individual contributors in high-demand fields receive 4 to 7% annual performance bonuses consistently. Best-in-class individual contributor reputation generates external offer leverage averaging 15 to 25% salary increases on lateral moves. The progress bar completes right here at the true expected value calculation. $20,000 apparent gain minus failure rate discount minus health cost premium minus opportunity cost of sustained excellence. Under the complete model, many management promotions have negative expected financial value at the 18-month horizon. Notice this bounded section showing layoff vulnerability by organizational level according to Bureau of Labor Statistics mass layoffs data. Middle management displays the highest displacement rate during economic contractions. Individual contributors performing core organizational functions show the lowest displacement rate. Compare these two models side by side. Management title appearing to offer career security versus statistical evidence showing it represents maximum vulnerability during downturns. The safest seat in a contracting company is not the corner office. It is the workstation of the person who actually builds the product that generates revenue. LinkedIn data shows senior individual contributors have 40% lower unemployment duration than displaced managers with equivalent tenure during economic volatility. Look closely at this highlighted term showing the psychological mechanism that systematically biases this decision. Loss aversion coefficient, 2.25. The fear of looking unambitious is psychologically weighted 2.25 times more heavily than the actual benefit of staying in your peak role. Your nervous system is making this decision wrong. Understanding why your brain systematically chooses suboptimally is the only way to override the bias. The data says one thing. Your identity anxiety says another. LinkedIn notifications create Pavlovian conditioning reinforcing promotion-seeking behavior completely independent of whether promotion serves your actual interests. This bold headline flashes on screen: your brain is making this decision wrong. The analysis produces one conclusion. Your social conditioning produces another. The system that allows you to refuse the management trap already exists. Bell Labs introduced dual ladder architecture in the 1950s to retain technical talent being lost to management promotion pressure. Modern implementation at Tier 1 companies proves the concept works at scale. Compare these two models side by side. Management tracked compensation curve on the left, individual contributor tracked compensation curve on the right. Follow both curves upward simultaneously through their respective progressions. Notice this percentage converging right at this high point where both tracks reach senior levels. Inside this specific box at each company, the actual individual contributor compensation ceiling. Microsoft Distinguished Engineer total compensation, $500,000 to $2 million annually. Google Principal Engineer and Distinguished Engineer levels, $400,000 to $3 million in total compensation. Amazon Principal and Senior Principal Engineer, Equivalent Director and VP compensation bands. Meta IC6 through IC9, Senior Individual Contributor levels reaching $400,000 to $3 million packages. Read these exact words carefully. Same money. Different work. No direct reports. No performance reviews to write. No budget meetings. No hiring committee obligations. $2 million for being genuinely world-class at the core work itself. Companies with formalized dual ladder systems show 34% lower voluntary turnover among top technical performers compared to companies with management-only advancement paths. Individual contributor tracks produce 2.3 times higher technical output per dollar of compensation when output is measured by patents, shipped features, or revenue-generating contributions. From Step 1 down to Step 3, the exact negotiation sequence for refusing a promotion without destroying your organizational standing. Phase 1, separate the money from the title. The frame is not rejection of advancement. The frame is strategic commitment to maximum value generation. I want the compensation increase. I want to decline the management responsibilities. Moving down to the second layer, reframe as value-based positioning. My highest contribution to this organization is in execution domain, not oversight domain. This conversation demonstrates self-awareness, strategic thinking, and long-term value orientation rather than lack of ambition or capability. The progress bar completes right here at Step 3. Propose the individual contributor track structure with specific compensation framework. Here is what that looks like as a concrete proposal with market rate benchmarking and performance metric accountability. If the organizational response is management represents the only advancement path available, that information tells you something precise about where you work. The company has structurally removed its ability to retain its best individual contributors. The correct response is not accepting a management role you are cognitively mismatched for. The correct response is becoming so excellent that external market leverage forces internal accommodation or reveals that external opportunity is the answer. If we zoom into this isolated container, the 4-variable decision matrix for evaluating any specific promotion offer. Variable 1, cognitive architecture fit. Does the new role's demand profile match your neurological wiring? Variable 2, financial expected value under the complete model including failure rate and health cost adjustments. Variable 3, time horizon including vesting schedules and long-term track availability. Variable 4, organizational structure including dual ladder options and individual contributor ceiling visibility. Notice this bounded section where all 4 variables must align green before the promotion makes mathematical sense. Run your specific offer through each variable independently. The decision matrix removes emotional bias and social pressure from what should be a purely analytical evaluation. The person who wins the career game is not the one who climbed highest on the organizational chart. It is the one who identified their peak competence zone precisely, empirically, without ego or social pressure, and stayed there long enough to become genuinely irreplaceable at it. Inside this specific box, the competence curve with the peak zone highlighted in gold. The staircase is a social construct. The competence curve is biology. Individual position marker sitting at peak performance level. Management zone highlighted in red showing cognitive domain mismatch and performance decline probability. The research doesn't say never accept any promotion. It says never accept any promotion without running the complete analysis first. Some people have cognitive architecture that genuinely matches management demands. Some promotions represent correct role transitions with positive expected value under the full model. The framework is not anti-advancement. It is anti-blind advancement. Here is the only question this entire analysis ultimately requires you to answer. Not should I take the promotion? Not is management right for me? Do you actually know where your competence curve peaks? Not where you want it to peak. Not where social pressure suggests it should peak. Where it actually, empirically, demonstrably peaks based on what work produces your best output, deepest engagement, and most consistent excellence. Because if you know that precisely and honestly, every career decision becomes straightforward. If you don't know that yet, Everything else, including whether to accept or refuse any specific promotion, is just guessing with extra steps. The data provides the framework. Your self-knowledge provides the inputs. The optimal decision emerges from that intersection.